This is human trafficking. I just traveled in airports across the country just the past few days.
That is House Republican Marjorie Taylor Greene, and she is about to tell a whopper.
You know what I saw in our airports? Migrants, illegal aliens, all over in the airports.
Well, that would have been impossible because illegal aliens are not allowed to fly in the United States. Only people with documentation can get through commercial airports. Greene likely saw people who are black, brown, and non-white and just assumed they were illegals.
You know who's paying for them to travel? United States taxpayers paying for them to travel. We're so sick of this. Everybody's sick of it.
Greene's diatribe came in a House Oversight Committee hearing on immigration law. By all accounts, there has been a surge of migrants coming in over the U.S.-Mexico border. Senate Republicans believe new legislation can stop it, and the Republican senators, led by Oklahoma's Jim Lankford, are close to an agreement on a bill with Senate Democrats.
If we can pass this in the days ahead in the Senate, send it over the House can work to improve it, or the House can take a serious look at it and say, this makes real progress on the border. Let's go get this, bank this, and then keep going for more.
But House Speaker Mike Johnson says any Senate compromise is dead on arrival. As Punchbowl News reports, on a House GOP conference call Sunday night, Johnson said Congress cannot solve the crisis at the border until Donald Trump or another Republican is in the White House. In other words, House Republicans keep complaining about the border crisis but are refusing to consider bipartisan legislation to address it. And House Democrats are now teeing off on the GOP.
Rather than joining Democrats and Biden in good faith bipartisan negotiations to make progress on immigration, they are taking orders from Donald Trump and actively obstructing a bipartisan border deal. Just as Trump is openly hoping for an economic downturn in our robust, low unemployment economy, they're hoping for chaos at the border and trying to stop us from preventing it.
As Jamie Raskin noted, the GOP tactics have been accompanied by dangerous rhetoric about undocumented immigrants. MAGA Republicans have invoked white nationalism and have described the people crossing the border as dangerous threats who are planning to kill American citizens in mass shootings and terror attacks. And so the GOP language about what to do about the border crisis has become even more extreme and bizarre. House Democrat Robert Garcia of California made that point while questioning an immigration expert. Watch.
I think it'd be a good idea to build a water-filled trench filled with alligators along the border.
That would be a misuse of taxpayer dollars and extremely inhumane.
So you think it would be inhumane to build a moat, put alligators in them along the border? That would not be a good idea.
No.
What if we instead ordered soldiers to shoot migrants in the legs and stop them from coming to the U.S.? Would that be a good idea?
No, that would be attempted murder.
What about the wall that Trump, of course, was building? Would it be better instead if we electrified it and put spikes at the top of the wall?
That would dramatically increase the cost that Border Patrol would incur. We've already seen how Border Patrol's wall has caused so many more injuries. They have taken millions of dollars to care for the people who have suffered injuries falling from that wall.
And Mr. Beer, what if instead we launched military strikes against targets in northern Mexico? Would that make the border, you think, more or less secure?
It would make it less secure. Creating a crisis in Mexico would probably be the best thing you could do to increase illegal immigration.
I only ask you all these questions because these are all proposals by the Republican frontrunner for the nomination, Donald Trump, former President Donald Trump. Every single one of these ideas, alligator moats, missiles into Mexico, shooting migrants in the legs, putting spikes on top of the wall. These are all the ideas on how to make our border system and our immigration system more fair, according to Donald Trump.
Some of those Trump proposals have been endorsed by Marjorie Taylor Greene. So let's go back to her. Greene's fabrications and nonsense at the hearing on this day were not limited to what she claimed to be seeing lately at U.S. airports.
That's right, killing people every single day while forcing the American taxpayer to pay for the human trafficking. That's exactly what the Biden administration is doing. Looking forward to the next administration where we're going to have the largest deportation system that's ever been witnessed in human history. Because the American people deserve to have a safe country, safe borders, and I'll finish up with this. We will be impeaching Secretary Mayorkas because he has broken the laws, and these are the laws that Joe Biden himself put in place. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I yield back.
So a couple of things to unpack here. When it comes to deportations, President Obama's first administration actually deported more undocumented immigrants than Donald Trump's administration. President Obama's second term, second administration also deported more. So aggressive deportation policies have been tried before by Democrats. Also, you heard Marjorie Taylor Greene reference her impeachment efforts of Alejandro Mayorkas, the Secretary of Homeland Security. Well, Greene recently got pummeled on the House floor to her face for that effort by a fellow conservative House Republican.
By failing to abide by due process and constitutional constraints.
That is Tom McClintock of Arkansas. The Republican is trashing Marjorie Taylor Greene's attempted impeachment of a cabinet secretary and declaring it takes away from the GOP impeachment effort of President Biden.
Ms. Greene is tainting this serious impeachment inquiry with a shoot-from-the-hip stunt that is reckless, partisan, and manifestly unserious.
Reckless, partisan, and unserious. It was a brutal floor speech to Greene's face, who moments earlier introduced articles of impeachment against Homeland Security Secretary Alejandro Mayorkas over the influx of undocumented immigrants.
The ongoing invasion at our southern border is a direct national security threat against the states and against the citizens therein. Secretary Mayorkas has willfully abandoned his duty to secure the border and protect states against invasion.
Maladministration, malfeasance, and neglect of duties on a truly cosmic scale. But these are not impeachable offenses. We know this because the American founders specifically rejected these terms at the Constitutional Convention. As Madison explained, they feared that such imprecise grounds could be twisted into a weapon for political grievances and turned against the executive branch whenever Congress saw fit. This would make the president a mere minister of Congress and make his subordinates answerable to the legislative branch instead of the executive powers that are vested solely in the president. If Ms. Greene is successful in redefining impeachment, then the next time Democrats have the majority, we can expect this new definition to be turned against the conservatives on the Supreme Court and any future Republican administration. And there will be nobody to stop them because Republicans will have now signed off on this new and unconstitutional abuse of power.
Clearly, the Republican Congress is divided on policy, tactics, and strategy, and you could say the GOP is dysfunctional, but it's worse than that. Republican lawmakers, including Marjorie Taylor Greene, seem incapable of telling the truth, even when it comes to what they are seeing or not seeing in airports. And unfortunately for Greene, a lot of people watching this debate over immigration are not stupid like her. By the way, Marjorie Taylor Greene's hero, Donald Trump, recently exploded after being ridiculed in a God parody ad.
God said, I need a man whose followers will call black white, call evil good, and call criminals hostages. So God made a dictator. God said, I need his political party to obey without question, and the press fear his wrath. So God made a dictator.
Check out that video at the link below. I'm David Shuster. Thanks for joining us.